Okay. Hey, everyone. Welcome to a live stream. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Tim Talks Audio. Um, today, today we're gonna start mixing using stock Studio One plugins. I've gotten this song so recently. I put up a post on, I believe it was Facebook, and I probably put it on a few different sites that I'm active on, looking for a song to mix. I posted a poll in the Facebook group asking what style, and rock won. So we're gonna do a rock song today, and I have a number of people reached out saying like, hey, if this is good enough, can you do this one? If this is good, et cetera, et cetera. I had a bunch. Excuse me. I had a few very good selections, and today we're gonna go. We're gonna go with this. This song is called "Hear Me Now" from the band Mongreloid. So we're gonna take care of this one. It's kind of a pop punky, almost Blink 182 ish style sound, and this is the one we're gonna have some fun with today. We're gonna make this kind of a quick and dirty thing. We'll probably pick some stuff up later on another stream later on this week. I have another one happening on Thursday, but all the replays are going to be available. So let's dive into the DAW. Here it is. And let's take a look. So before we even get into anything, I'm just going to go very quickly over what is happening. I got this session from another Studio One user, and so thankfully they sent the song file with it. So a lot of this stuff was already done. So that you can see all of the edits are already completed. There's even some guitar edits that were up here. So like this section here is muted. So everything is already done, and it's going to go with their color coding. They already have their auxes in. A lot of this is actually the way that I would set it up, which is really good. It's very convenient for me. It was less work that I had to do. So quick look, here's our drums. They are going to a drum aux, and then there's another bus right here called drum crush. This is for like any parallel processing. This all came into me. Here's our DI and our printed bass amp sim. So they just use like, some kind of amp sim plugin, and they printed it for me. Awesome. We can do that ourselves if we want to using the DI and then put it through Ampire. That also goes into an aux, and all of these auxes, like the drum aux and the bass aux, they all get sent to another stem that's further down. That's not necessarily something that I would do, but it never hurts, because at the end I can go to all these stems at the end and be like, you know what, the guitars could come up a little, so let me bring everything else down, or everything's real loud, so let me just duck everything else down. And these are all going to a mix bus at the end here. So if we want to do any overall mix bus processing, we can do it down here. Green guitars, very, very handy. There's also like a little flanger that's happening here. There's an effects channel that was printed for this guitar track right here. We'll hear that later, and we might use this for something else. And then here's in blue is all of our lead vocals, and they're broken up. So like the verses, the verse echo, which was printed, lead verse bridge, chorus 2, and there's some alternate takes. These were already muted. All going to their own bus. Pink are background vocals, and that's pretty much it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the very start, or actually I'm going to go to the start of the loop, because that's where the song starts. Let's put this song marker here and there. I think that's close. There we go. Hang on. What's going on here? Bars, adaptive, beep, beep, boop. Oh, that's close enough. I'm going to very quickly look at the end. Okay, so let's go to the start and take a listen to where everything is. You may have noticed all of my tracks are sitting at -10. I wanted all my faders up so I could hear what's happening, and I want to hear where the levels are currently. Also, please be very active in the chat. I'm going to be looking up and answering as many questions as I can, but it's great for you guys to all be talking to one another and seeing what's going on. So let's start filling up that chat box now while we listen to the song and take some mental notes of what we want to happen. Okay, so I'm going to pause it there and let's kind of talk through it together, what's going on here. Now, everything's recorded very well, but you can see the levels are kind of all over the place. And instead of hitting play and going through and finding balances, I actually kind of want to do a little normalization first to give everything the boost that it needs and have everything be very consistent. So first thing I'm going to do, let's get rid of my mixer. That's F3 on a keyboard. It doesn't matter if that's Windows or PC, or excuse me, Mac or PC. So we can see first with our drums, all of these right here. So the only one that actually has like a solid level is our kick drum. The kick drum has like a pretty solid level right here. Drums are very quiet, need more punch. Yes, I agree. That's why we're going to normalize. I have this set up on a keyboard shortcut, but instead of doing the keyboard shortcuts, I'm going to use one of the macros that's already built in. Now, this may be different on yours because I've actually altered mine. This is normalize and peaks at -3. You're able to go in and actually edit your macros. So here I can go in and edit this to be whatever level I want it to be. I can name it. But the difficult thing that I found, and this is not mixing, but it's just whatever. Oops, let's undo because we did that too fast. There we go. Is you can rename these macros by doing that. I right-clicked on it, and then if you double-click on the name, you can rename it. Yours, as a default, probably says normalize and peaks at -12. I want my peaks to be higher, so I'm going to put them at -3. Here's everything. Click. Boom. Normalize. Peaks at -3, so we know we're not going to be clipping anything. And if we solo our drums out, we can take a listen to it real quick, and we're just going to jump forward to like a verse or something. I think it's like right about here. So we already have way more level out of all of our drums, and we can do some better balancing between everything in a little bit. Looking at our bass track, it doesn't seem too bad. There's a bridge that happens here. So we can kind of just probably just play with the faders on that section there. The guitars are all a nice solid level. The vocals are done pretty well, but you know what? We could use a little bit of help, so why not? I'm holding shift while I'm clicking all of these. And we're going to do the same thing. Normalize and peaks -3. Now I know for a fact everything's going to be the same. Now, if this is still too low, we just listen to everything else and adjust accordingly. And background vocals, you know what? Let's do, hey, why'd you do that? Let's do all of these as well. And you. Everybody in the pool. Hang on, let's just do this the easy way. Boom, select like that. Normalize and peak -3. So you can see we had a big difference between everything. And if we go to the start of this chorus, everything's a little bit better. Okay, so let's think about it. What is the most important thing of any song? It's the part you sing along to when you're driving down the highway, you know, listening to something along these lines. It really doesn't, it could be anything that you're listening to. And the answer is the lead vocal. The lead vocal, you want everybody to be able to hear it. You want it to be clear, but you don't want it to be painful. So we have all of our levels. Everything is there, but we already know that at least in the chorus, this can come way up. And we're going to start in this chorus here.
Only one with something to believe. It's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen.
So that's a little better. We're going to compare it to the guitars, which the guitars were printed as a stereo stem, which is fine. And I'm actually just going to bump that down.
Only one with something to believe. It's like a new frontier.
So right now we're actually not even going to be doing a lot of plug-in stuff, and we're going to get there. We just have to do a very quick, rough balance of everything to get it all sitting where we want it to be.
Only one
So those cymbals are really washy. We have to just kind of adjust those, but we want to also make sure that there's going to be room for where the kick and snare and get the punch that we want. So you can see that there was already some sends to this over here, a room bus to create a fake room. So let's go ahead and start doing that. Let's just do a reverb, and we're going to go with, yeah, room burp should be fine. And let's make things real easy. Let's do a preset drum booth. And let's take a listen to this, and we'll blend it in. I'm also going to hit Shift S on this, because if I solo the drums, I'm going to want to hear this. So there was already a printed room. I just have this as a backup, just in case we need it. So let's take a listen to all of our drums. So something I'm going to do real quick is I am going to make a very fast bus for the overheads. This way I'm working on them as a pair. That's just something that I like to do. I did have a keyboard shortcut for it, and that's one that I assigned, which is, for me, I have it as Control-Option-B, but you can just right-click and then create a bus for the selected channels. So now I know that my overheads are going to be going to this bus right here. And then this bus is going out the same drum aux and all that other stuff. So really, overheads is just our cymbals, and room is kind of half room, half overheads. Go to a different chorus real quick, maybe towards the end here. Am I the only one with something to believe? It's like a new frontier. A nice little octave guitar. We can have him kind of come up a little, and we'll find just our balances and get everything really close. Am I the So there's a nice little stop right there. We can make sure that there's a lot of action that happens in the space there. So let's start putting some plugins on. First thing, we're going to kind of approach this from a top-down style. So we're going to go to our mix bus. We're going to do a little mix bus compression and maybe some EQ. And that's how we're going to start. And I'm going to leave it to you guys, and I'm curious what you want. I can either use the stock compressor, which is this one, and we can find some mix bus settings in here, or we can also use the fat channel. Now, I have the fat channel collection, but I can limit myself to using just what's available within the fat channel. Something that comes with the fat channel is the 1176. And then you also, this is the FETs, or you can also get the tube. These come with the standard fat channel. So as much as I want to go to either like the Brit comp or the classic comp or something like that, I don't want to use tools that you may not have. So that's why we're doing stock plugins. So let's go ahead and make a choice. We'll start off, we'll bypass the fat channel and we'll just use the stock compressor. What's the difference between compressors? Probably compressors. The difference between compressors is how they react. I have a video out there talking about the basics of compressors, but here's the differences real quick. So the stock compressor, this one that we're looking at right here, Has a lot of features to it. It has a lot of flexibility to it, and it's very clean. It's not it's not colored. It's not modeled after anything. It just takes care of the job of doing the compression. You can go in, change your settings, and there it is. Something along the lines of or it within fat channel, like the tube comp or the FET comp. It's all about the characteristics of the compressor. So the tube comp is based off an LA2A, so it has an optical sensor within it, and it's tube driven, and so it's actually program dependent on how much compression is going to be happening. If there's a lot of content going into the compressor, it's going to squeeze a little bit harder, and how it reacts is going to be a little bit different. Opposed to the FET comp, which is based on just a field electronic transistor, if I remember correctly, and that just alters how it's a different characteristic of compression, and the knee is different, how it reacts, the speed, things like that. So the tube comp, the FET comp, they have different characteristics to them, and just the stock compressor kind of doesn't, but it gets the job done. I see a bunch of things going on in the chat. The fat channel, between the standard compressor and the fat channel, I never use it that much, but I'd love to learn how. Fat channel FET is nice, so it looks like a lot of people are going for the FET compressor from the fat channel on our mix bus. So let's do it. I am fine with that. I have no problems doing that. Let's pull open that FET and kick them on. Or use both. We can use both if we need it. Maybe we'll use the stock compressor later. Thankfully, because the fat channel has it available to us, we can do the compressor and then into an EQ, and then follow this up with the stock compressor to do a series compression before and after EQ. Kyle, thanks for having the documents in the Facebook group discussing the stock compressor. I also have a video that goes over a lot of different things. So check out Kyle's PDF, check out my videos. You can find them on YouTube/Tim Talks Audio. So, all right, bus compression. Let's take a look. So on your mix bus, you kind of want a little bit, you kind of want a more gentler field effect transistor. Thank you, Kyle. For a mix bus, you kind of want something not too crazy. So with the FET comp, the lightest compression ratio you can do is 4:1, and that's fine by me. Some things I'm going to do is I'm going to have the very slowest attack and the very fastest to release, because I want the transients to come through. So I want the compression to start a little bit later, but I want it to get back to normal very quick. And this will give us a glue. This is something that people call a glue factor to it. Just to be safe, I'm going to pull my output down, and then I'm going to drive my input to get a little bit of compression. I don't want a lot. I just want to squeeze everything together. So let's take a listen. And if I really wanted, I could do some key filtering and remove the kick drum from the equation so that the compressor is only listening to the everything above whatever the key filter would be. But we'll make that choice as we get to it. So let's take a listen. I don't know if you guys are hearing that, but there is some pumping that's going on, so I want to find that and address it. The pumping may have been me because I'm turning the compressor on and off, so we'll see what's going on with it. So I'm going to slow the release down a bit to try and get rid of some of that pumping. I'm hearing a lot of it, and it's because our balances are a little skewed right now, but that's okay because we can work through it.
Am I the only one with something to believe? It's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? Fall on deaf ears, the sound will keep falling. I'm sorry, but I can't stay. Am I the only one with something to believe?
And a lot of this pumping, I can hear it happening from the drums. So probably the next thing we'll address is the drums, to have them be a bit more leveled. Because of all the information that's going on, that's what's causing some of this pumping. Hey, thanks, Kyle.
Am I the only one with something to believe? It's like a new frontier.
So you can really, I can hear it, and I hope you guys can hear it too. It's when the low end of the kick is hitting that is hitting the compressor a little bit more. So I'm going to filter some of that out. Like my key filter is up to 82. If we listen to it, there's lots of stuff going on down there. Now, I do want to clean that up, but we have to kind of start with one thing, go to another, and it's always a matter of finding a problem, fixing the problem, see if there's a new problem. What are my suggestions for training your ears for compression? Sometimes I get worried that there is pumping going on that may not be obvious to me, but is actually pretty bad. So here's a suggestion is when you're not mixing, when you're not doing something like this, you sit down and do kind of what we have going on here with some extreme settings. You train yourself to listen to what pumping is. So if you put a compressor like the FET comp, fastest attack, fastest release, and then you slam it, but you get it to a point where after some hits, so like maybe on just a snare drum or on a vocal, when it hits hard, but it always recovers back to zero, and you can hear that pumping action. Then start training yourself like, oh, this is what's going on. It's trying to recover. It's coming back. That's what pumping is. It's the after compression, it's coming back to normal program volume. Then you learn how to adjust and like, okay, maybe I want a slower attack to let some transients through so that the compressor can react to stuff a little bit later and reduce some pumping. Or maybe I want to adjust my release so that it's more natural and slower back to that normal or zero, we'll call it, compression line.
Am I the only one with something to believe? It's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen.
So I don't know if you guys can hear this. There is the slightest little dB boost, and I'm not against it. I kind of want that to happen. That's fine by me. But there is a little bit of glue. Let me do it again real quick. I'm going to turn the bus compressor off. We'll listen, and then I'll activate it in again.
Am I the only one with something to believe? It's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? Fall on deaf ears, the sound will keep falling. I'm sorry, but I can't stay. Am I the only?
So there is a little bit of glue happening. There's a little bit, like I said, there's a little bit of volume dB boost, and I'm not against it. I saw a question come in. Let me just address this real quick. Should I only use the fat channel on the mix bus, or can it be used on the individual track? You can use the fat channel on anything you want. If you want to put it on the individual tracks and your buses and your master buses and your quad bus and your quad bus, like a Michael Brower style compression thing going on. You can put it on your mix bus. You can put it everywhere, and you're not going to have a problem. You can just use as many instances that your machine can handle. Thankfully, Fat Channel isn't really like a CPU hog, so it's nothing to really worry about. Here's something else I want to do is I'm going to go to the EQ on the Fat Channel, post compressor, and I'm going to do a little bit of boost, because this is something I like to do on all of my mixes, give a little like smile You may see a lot of other mixers do this, but they'll put like a little smile curve on. Generally, they will do something like the passive EQ, which I believe is included with the standard fat channel bundle. Can you guys, maybe you guys can tell me, I can't remember if the passive EQ is with the normal fat channel. If it is, awesome, we're going to use this. Because I would really, excuse me, I would really love to use the passive EQ. I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I would do. Also, I want to, again, thank you for tuning in while we do run through this quickly, but also live, just using stock stuff. We're going to try and get as far as we can in this. Fortunately, I do have some other stuff that I need to do, so I have like a hard stop time, and I hate having that, but we'll pick this up again in our next stream. That channel is available for Studio One artists, yes. And passive is available. Cool. Awesome. As a suggestion, use the passive EQ on your mix bus. This is there's a reason why it's called a passive EQ, and it's not just because of what it's modeled after, the Pultec. The Pultec EQ is a passive EQ, which is different from an active EQ, because when you run signal through a passive EQ, it affects the entire frequency band, even though you are only honing in, on something like, let's say, 60 hertz or 10K. When everything runs through, it all gets that Pultec-y saturation that you get. That's why it's a passive EQ. There's other things that are happening inside or under the hood, but that's also why this one is called passive EQ, is because of the style of equalization, as opposed to like phase shift EQs. Those are active EQs or phase shift, where passive EQs are not. And I can't remember exactly what it is, but that's okay. We're not worried about that. Let's make this thing sound awesome.
Am I the only one? It's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? All on deaf ears, the sound will keep falling. I'm sorry, but I can't stay. Am I the only one? Something to believe. It's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen.
You may see I'm clipping a little. I'm not worried about this, because let's go ahead and throw the stock compressor after this, and we'll throw this guy in as well to kind of catch any of like those last little peaks. So what we're going to do is have kind of a fast attack with a fast release. And we're going to do a hard knee. We are going to do some light compression, but I just want to get any kind of like top end or top transients and squeeze those guys a little.
Am I the only one? It's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? All on deaf ears, the sound will keep falling. I'm sorry, but I can't.
So you can hear there's still some pumping going on, or at least I hope you guys can still hear that there's some pumping going on. That's coming from the first compressor, not this one. This one is set with some very fast settings because I just wanted to get the transients and hone them in, because that's what's making me clip. It's not the overall volume that was giving me those red lights, because if I take this out,
Am I the only one? It's like a new.
you guys saw FabFilter. Yes, I'm using FabFilter, but FabFilter for me is just doing some room correction EQs. So this is not affecting what's going to you guys. It's only affecting what's going to my speakers. That's another reason why I have a mix bus set up, because everything is going to go on my mix bus, not on my main outs. The only thing that's on my main outs in post is the FabFilter EQ to do some room correction. So you saw that, and I'm going to be honest, that's why it was there. But let's go back to the stock compressor.
Am I the only one? It's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen.
So it's just on a couple kick hits and a couple snare hits that we're peaking out on our master bus. So I'm just getting those transients. What's going on, Booth? So I'm just getting those transients. Now let's do a quick comparison. We're going to take everything off. So it's the FET compressor, the passive EQ, both in the fat channel, and the stock compressor after. Here's before.
Am I the only one? Something to believe. It's like a new frontier. The truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear my calling? All the long deaf ears, the sound will keep falling. I'm sorry, but I can't stand. Am I the only one?
So this is where we are now. How do you know when to use the threshold? The threshold is what's telling the compressor this is too loud and this is not. Like it's saying, here's your threshold. Anything that's higher than this or hotter than this, I want you to turn down by the ratio, which is like the 4-to-1, 8-to-1, et cetera, 2-to-1. So you adjust your threshold to get the amount of gain reduction you want, because it's telling the compressor, okay, if anything's louder than this, I want you to turn it down. So that's how you use your threshold, and you do everything quickly. So with the stock compressor on the mix bus, it's at a fast attack and fast release because I just wanted to get the very transients of the kick and snare to kind of like hone those in and just like retain them a little. So I adjusted my threshold to only give me a little bit of gain reduction when those things happen. The ratio I left at 2-to-1 because it's a mix bus and I don't want to do a lot of like heavy lifting here, but you're going to see if we can get over to the drum bus, we can probably do some crazy stuff over there, especially when we do some parallel processing. So it's a major difference, and some of it is just regular volume. Here, let's do this real quick. Let's do a meter, the level meter, and we'll just go with a K14, and I'm going to pin this so that you guys can keep seeing it. So everything is bypassed right now.
Am I the only one? Something to believe. It's like a new frontier. The truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear my calling? All the long deaf ears, the sound will keep falling.
So we're looking at probably about a 3 dB increase in volume, and that's fine by me. I can work with that. This is just retaining everything. So,
Am I the only one? Something to believe. It's like a new frontier. The truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear my calling?
okay, here's a cool trick. I don't know if you guys have done this. I'm on my drum bus right now. I put 2 instances flat of the fat channel, which actually I didn't even need to do, but that's fine. I'm not worried about it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a splitter on my drum bus. I'm going to put it up here first. I'm going to take one fat channel and put it to the left side, another fat channel and put it to the right side. Then I'm going to do channel split. I'm now working essentially with a dual mono compressor. I want what's happening on the left side to not affect the amount of compression or EQ that's happening on the right side. So that's what I'm doing here. So what I could do very quickly is actually remove this. I'm going to remove the splitter and I'm going to work with the fat channel. I'm going to get some nice drum bus compression. Then I'm going to copy this instance of fat channel and throw the splitter back in line. For this, we're going to go with the FET comp again. Slow, fast, we're going to glue it. I'm going to turn it on, and we're going to get the correct amount of compression.
Am I the only one? It's like a new frontier. The truth that goes unseen.
Kyle, yes, there are some people that say to do this, and there's some people that say that to not do this. My mindset is this. A lot of people say to not do this because it makes your kick drum move around. Or it might make your snare drum move around, because if somebody's doing a tom fill, the compressor is going to react more on the one side versus the other side, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't bother me that much. It really doesn't. And if I really need to, I can take a copy of my kick and not send it to this compressor or this bus and put it right up to the center to keep that same kick signal straight up the center. So that's one way to kind of like mitigate that. And there's a lot of people that are fine just doing a single stereo compressor, and just like if something happens on the left, it compresses the right, and they're fine with that. So it's like, what do you like? I very much recently have been enjoying dual mono, especially on my drum bus. So I don't know if you guys... Sorry, phone is ringing. I don't know if you guys saw that. What I did is I took the passive EQ again. I have it before my compressor on my drum bus, and there's a lot of like extra rumble that's going on that kick drum. I'm going to take the EQ out again real quick. And let's just try and listen to the kick drum in the mix of the drums. There's a lot of low ends thump and rumble that's going on. Now, you want that from your kick drum, yes, but I felt like there was too much. Okay, let's do what I was doing before. So fat channel, I'm holding down Option on my keyboard, and that would be Alt on a PC to copy the effects. Now I have two instances of the fat channel. Here's my splitter. One instance on the left, one instance on the right, making sure my splitter is set to channel split. Okay, I think that's a good starting point for my drum bus.
Am I the only one who believe it's like a new frontier? The truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? Fall upon deaf ears. The sound will keep falling. I'm sorry, but I can't stay. Am I the only one? Something to believe. It's like a new frontier. The truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? It falls upon deaf ears. The sound will keep falling. And I'm sorry, but I can't stay. Am I the only one? Something to believe. It's like a new frontier. The truth that
That's not bad. That's giving us a little bit more snap to our snare. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put the Pro EQ first because I want to listen to some stuff.
am I the only one? Something to believe. It's like a new frontier. The truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life call?
So we have a lot of top end. I kind of want to bring a little bit of that body out, and I can do two things. Is I can remove some of the mids that are in here. Like that boxy sound, I don't like that at all, so I can get rid of some of that. And I'm just going to narrow that down a little. That's what Q is it changes the bandwidth that's going on there. So I'm going to bring some of that out. Now, should I be EQing in solo? Not quite, because I don't know how it's going to fit within the track.
Am I the only one? Believe it's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? Fall upon deaf ears, the sound will keep falling. I'm sorry, but I can't stay. Am I the only one? Something to believe. It's like a new.
And now here's something else we could do real quick. Is on here is throw a little bit of saturation on our snare drum. That's right, you heard me. We're gonna distort it a bit. You know what? I don't want any of the presets. I just want a little bit. I want a little bit. Some tube is okay. Actually, let's go op amp, and then we can adjust our mix control. So listen to what I'm doing. I'm gonna put it in solo real quick. Hey, yeah, that jumped way over there.
Sound will keep falling. I'm sorry, but I can't stay. Am I the only one? Something to believe. It's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? It falls upon deaf.
Just saw it come in. Why didn't I use the fat channel EQ while I was doing the snare? The reason I didn't use the fat channel EQ, the stock EQ that's on the fat channel is 4 bands, where Pro EQ is 5 bands plus filters. So the Pro EQ gives me a little bit more. Now, did I use all of the bands? No, I didn't. But I knew that if I needed to, I would have at least one more band, not counting the filters, already in there. So it gave me some more flexibility.
Am I the only one? Something to believe. It's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? Fall upon deaf ears, the sound will keep falling. I'm sorry, but I can't stay. Am I the only one? Something to believe. It's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? It falls upon deaf ears, the sound will keep falling. And I'm sorry, but I can't stay. Am I the only one? Something to believe. It's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? It falls upon deaf ears, the sound will keep falling. I'm sorry, but I can't stay. Am I the only one? Something to believe.
No need.
One.
No need. I was trying to use the gate to give me a little extra snap, but it's not really doing what I wanted it to do. So I'm just gonna turn it off. I did do a little high pass on my kick, as we heard before. There was a lot of like extra rumble that was going on. Musician standard time. That's fine. We all get that every once in a while. I was trying to use the gate to give me a little extra click and attack from my kick drum. But it's not really doing what I want it to do. So let's keep going. We're going to do some EQ on the kick drum. Instead of adding first, we're going to find, let's put everything back to normal. Okay, they are. We're going to find some gross stuff in this kick drum. We're going to get rid of it. I don't like any of this sound right here. I'm going to get rid of all of that. What is the purpose of the high pass filter? The high pass filter is just going to start to slowly roll off anything below 38 hertz. Now, this seems counterintuitive on a kick drum. I get that because the kick drum's low frequencies, but this is just going to make room for the low end of the bass and room in generally overall in our mix. This is like the feel of it, and I'm not too worried about that right now. Going back to this low mid frequency, I want to get rid of this. There is some attack on here that I very much like, so I want to find it. In the mix, can you hear what's going on here when I take this in and out? Even without adding any extra low ends to the kick, doing this very wide, and it is rather aggressive, top end boost, what is this at? That's really small. 3.3. At 3.3K, I have this top end boost on the kick drum, and it brings the presence out. Without even boosting the low ends, you can actually hear the kick drum a little bit more. And if you can hear the attack of the kick drum a little bit more, it tricks your brain into thinking that there's more low end happening.
Am I the only one who's something to believe? It's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? Falling on deaf ears, the sound will keep falling. I'm sorry, but I can't stand. Am I the only one who's something to believe? It's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? Falling on deaf ears, the sound will keep falling. And I'm sorry, but I can't stand. Am I the only one who's something to believe? It's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? Falling on deaf ears, the sound will keep falling. I'm sorry, but I can't stand. Am I the only one who's something to believe? It's like a new frontier, the truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? Falling on deaf ears, the sound will keep.
How often do I use the fat channel in my regular workflow is actually, unfortunately, going to be the last question I can do today. I do have something at 3:30 that unfortunately I have to stop and be able to join. I've been using it more and more recently. I'm really trying to get used to it and understand it, listen to it, really really feel it and incorporate it into my workflow. Is it necessary? No, but I like expanding my horizons and learning the tools that I have. I'm actually just gonna wake this up and switch back over to here real quick. So I take the time to learn the tools that I have and everything that's in my arsenal. And so I've been using the fat channel a bit more, just showing myself really what it can do and its capabilities. So very quickly before we go, and we'll pick this up again on Thursday. We're going to stick with this song. We'll pick it up again on Thursday. Let me switch back over. And we'll listen. If you don't know already, this button right here is activate all inserts. This may have also accidentally turned off the send to you guys, which it did. I can turn that back on. And this is like I said before, this is my room correction. So I'm going to select this guy. And what else did I do? I'm not worried about that. You and you and you and you. These are the only channels that we actually did any processing on so far. Was our mix bus, our drum bus, and our kick and our snare. And I'm not worried about this room bus because I didn't even use it. So here it is before we did anything.
Am I the only one? Something to believe. It's like a new frontier. The truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? All the long deaf ears. The sound will keep falling. I'm sorry, but I can't stand. Am I the only one? Something to believe. It's like a new frontier. The truth that goes unseen. Can't you hear life calling? All the long deaf ears. The sound will keep falling. And I'm sorry, but I can't stay here.
So there it is. That was a little quick and dirty before and after of everything we've done so far. Yes, there's a dB increase, and it's putting me, right above clipping. I can fix that later because what we can do is we can take that mix bus and just drop it by half a dB or a dB or whatever we need to. Is it going to make everything softer? Yes, but we can pseudo master, or we can actually master it later and get it to a competitive level. I have everything kind of a little bit hotter today than I normally would anyway, but that's just how it rolls. Thanks for the live stream. Didn't know you did these, but this is what I need to do better and learn how to mix. Sometimes I feel like I can't do all of the 20-minute videos. This is something that I've actually just started doing, and during this increasingly weird time that we're in due to COVID-19, I'm gonna make this kind of a regular thing every Tuesday and Thursday at 2:30, at least an hour. If I can do a little bit more, I can. Unfortunately, today I can't. I do have to wrap up. But yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to start doing live streams. I always put out a Monday video where I go over something new that is generated by the community. So, be active in be active in the Facebook groups, be active on the subreddits. I check a lot of those, and I check them probably too frequently. But everything I put out on Monday is user-generated questions and answers. The one that came out yesterday was going over the stock compressor multiband dynamics, which we didn't get into today, but I went over all of the controls and some options that we can do within multiband dynamics, or some things that you can do inside your mix. I do have to wrap it up. Again, thanks everybody for coming out and hanging with me and watching just some of the stuff that's going on. We'll save this. I'm going to save it right now. We'll pick it up again on Thursday. I'll go live at 2:30. We'll hop right back in, take a listen to where we are, and move on from there to make this mix just a little bit better, I would hope. So come back right here on either YouTube, or I also stream on my Tim Talks audio Facebook page. It's a simulcast to both of them. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, all those other things. If you have a question, ask it in a comment on this video or any one of my other videos. Reach out to me on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. All of them are Tim Talks Audio. And I want to thank everybody for coming out and hanging with me today and learning some things, I hope. And just thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.